What happens when you mix OnlyFans with resin? Bit of this is going to be a strange one. And basically it's all come from the fact that in a few of my lives, a few people have been joking around and saying, have I got an OnlyFans channel? The answer to that is no. But I was curious, what would happen if you mix the two together? So there is one particular artist that I have heard of. I've never watched that kind of program myself, but she's become very popular recently for probably the wrong reasons. So in this video, we're going to see if we can make a Bonnie Blue, barely legal coaster. And for me, it was just combining a couple of thoughts in my head with those jokes that are coming on the live. So I've been wanting to play around with textiles and fabrics in resin, which I haven't done yet. And I thought this would give me an opportunity to do that. So I'm just mixing up 2.5 ounces at the minute of the fast cure resin from Apex. And then we've got a package. And let's see what we've got. So these are going to go in the coaster. And I think it's just an interesting way where we can mix any idea and come up with something in resin. So here we go. And we've got 2 items that are going to be going in this coaster, hopefully. And we're going to see what happens. So now I was going to add something else, but I thought that's a bit too risque for this channel. But I've got some cool little handcuffs, which are on a keyring, which I'm going to take off the keyring to put in the project. And then I've got some rather raunchy Lacy underwear, which are also going to go in there. The idea is to put a clear layer in first, and then we're going to add another layer on top. So obviously I've just mixed up this resin, so I am conscious of that. I can't take too long. And just to show you, this is a fast cure resin, everyone. So you're going to have those bubbles, but they will disperse. So don't stress. They will go. So I think the first thing to do is to get these out and see what we can do with these to get them ready for that coaster. And let me know what you think in comments. Is this a good idea? Or is it going to put you off my channel? Hopefully not the latter, but I just thought this was a really cute keyring with these handcuffs. And I thought they'd look really cute in a coaster. And it's a bit risque, but I don't mind being a little bit controversial every now and then and seeing what happens. So I'm just going to find some pliers. And all I'm going to do is hopefully detach these with the O-ring. And I'm going to save this to reuse the O-ring and the hardware and something else at a later date. But it's actually quite a good one, which is a rarity. There we go. So they are now out. The plan is they're going to go across there. Then we're going to have a look at these, which again is a little bit hilarious because I can't remember the last time I saw anything like that. Never mind. But here we go. So I'm just going to pour a thin layer off this resin first. So it's not just going straight onto the silicone, just so there's something, a thin layer of the resin before I put anything in. And I think I do want the handcuffs in first so that they show pretty well. And I'm going to get off the surface bubbles, try not to go too close to the edge. And then with these, I think I want them, they're going to sink like that. I'm happy with that because it is going to get covered in more resin. Now, let's open these. Oh, I never thought I would be making an OnlyFans Bonnie Blue resin coaster. Never thought I would see the day, guys. So, but I'll do anything for the sake of resin art. So here we go. A little bit raunchy, I think you'll agree. But I actually thought the design would look really cool in a coaster. And I don't even know how these are supposed to go on. So any of you ladies out there, you can probably tell me. But there we go. So I'm going to take the packaging off. And I think it's mainly this front piece I want. Although we could probably use some of those pearls in there as well. So, sorry for those of you that really like them. They're going to have to get taken apart a little bit in order to fit them in. So, this is the main bit that I think I want. So I'm just going to cut the elastic. And I want to try and get as much of this lace design in as I can because I quite like the design and the lace. But I'm going to have to chop, I think, all of these bits of elastic off in order to keep the design and not just be looking at a load of blue elastic. And as I say, it's the first time I've experimented with putting any kind of lace or embroidery in a coaster. So I think I'm just going to layer it and press it down a little bit initially. Let it absorb some of that resin. And I know there's going to be some cleanup after. So there's that. Now we have also got some of these, I suppose they're pearls. So I'm going to just put some of those in the edge as well, just because we've got space for them. And I do believe there's a phrase out there which most of you probably know, which these could actually refer to, but I'm not going to go into that because, as I say, I want this to be about the resin work rather than the inappropriateness of it in a lot of people's minds. And I can already see the fabric is creating quite a few bubbles, which I did kind of expect. And then I think there's enough room to just have one of these here. And how bizarre are these materials that I'm using to make a resin coaster, guys? I never thought I'd be making a video like this. But it's all in the interest of resin art. So now what I'm going to do is just where I can see those excess bubbles, torch them off again. And now I'm going to pour a bit more resin over the top. Just to about halfway, I think, is what I'm aiming for. And I don't know if this is going to turn out in any way, shape or form at this point. I want to probably just about cover the pearls in this coaster. There we go. And this is going to be the first layer. And then I've got a few ideas as to what to do with the second layer as well. So stay tuned for that. Just going to move these back into position, roughly where I want them, which is nearer to the edge. Ideally without those holes showing. And that's probably not a word I should be using on a video like this. But hey ho. Oh dear. You guys are going to have a field day in comments. I can feel it. But each to their own is what I say. And whatever keeps you happy. I just thought it'd be a fun little experiment. So I'm going to keep coming back to this every few minutes and just checking where we're at. Now, I can see that the material is trying to lift away a little bit, but not too much. I can see that the handcuffs are pretty much staying where I want them on the base, which is good. And I've got most of that design in there. So I think this is going to still turn out to be quite an interesting piece. Let me know what you think, and let's see what happens with this Bonnie Blue poster. Oh dear, that'd be even worse. So I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to cure this for a couple of hours. We're going to come back in a couple of hours, and we're going to put the final layer on it. I just thought this would be a bit of fun, incorporating OnlyFans and resin. Who knew that it was possible? But I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you find it as amusing as I am. And I hope it hasn't put you off the channel, just me being experimentative and having a little bit of fun. So I'll see you guys in 2 hours. So here we go, guys. It's been a couple of hours and I'm pretty confident that that is cured. Now there's a couple of micro bubbles that are still in there, but it's pretty well cured. Now what I want to do is just trim off some of this excess before I go in with the next layer, if I can. Hopefully without trimming my silicone. There we go. So I'm just going to trim the edges off and then we are going to continue. And it might need a final bit of sanding at the end as well. But do you know what? It's a bit of fun. Here we go. So that is most of that excess off. There's still a bit there, but as you can see, it's pretty much fully cured. There's a few bubbles in there. It still feels a little bit warm, but we're good to go in with that second layer. So, me being me, I never like to do just one colour. So I've picked out one of my favourite blue glitters, and then 3 of my favourite colours that I haven't mixed before, just to see what's going to happen. And I genuinely don't know. This video could even get banned off of YouTube because of the fact I've mentioned Bonnie Blue. But for me, it's a bit of fun. And we are going to see what happens. So I've mixed up probably a little bit too much resin to fill this coaster. And I think I am still going to get a few bubbles in there because of the way that I've mixed it. And I did rush it a little bit, if I'm being honest, because this for me is just an experimental, fun little project that I just wanted to try and see what happens. So what I am going to do, these are going to be my 3 colours. Now I've got a tiny bit of clear resin left in that cup, so I'm just leaving that on there. And then what that can be doing is any resin that's left in that cup, hopefully can just leave a little thin layer. And then we're going to mix up some colours and we're going to see what happens in this bonny blue coaster. So I'm going to go with some blueberry sparkle for the glitter. Not too much, but enough to hopefully colour the resin and not overtake the whole piece. Then I've got a turquoisey colour because I absolutely love it. And it's this Kingfisher from Creating Blue. Technically it's not blue, but it is bluish. Look at that. Beautiful. And with pigment paste, literally, all you're doing, stir it around. Whatever's left on your stick is going to be more than enough to just colour your resin. That's that one. Then I have got a cheap metallic white paste from Temu that I love. And a cheap blue one from Temu. So we've got some more expensive paste going in here and some cheaper ones. Here we go. Again, this is the metallic white creamy paste, and whatever's left on that stick is going to be enough. And that can go in there. And then my favourite metallic blue is going to be the final colour. And hopefully that'll just give us a thin layer. And I'm not done with that cup yet. And you'll see why in a minute. And this is, again, for me, this is just an experiment. It's a bit of fun, you know? And I want to see if I can still get a couple of techniques into it to see what they're going to look like. So this is a metallic blue. Here we go. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift that coaster up now and spread this around. And hopefully it will kind of encourage that thin layer, which might give us a bit of a crackle. It might not. I don't know what I'm doing in this experiment, guys. It's just a bit of fun. And it'll be an interesting result, I think. I just really want to see what that textile and what fabric looks like in it. And I thought this was going to be a fun way to do it. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, but those of you that know me know that I don't really shy away from that, and I like to have a bit of a laugh at the same time. There we go. I think that's pretty much spread around the whole surface. Now I'm just going to leave it to do its thing and just self-level. Now with these colours, the plan is, if it goes to plan, is to sort of intermix these in the cup. So this is that blueberry sparkle glitter. And I think you'll agree that is a stunning sparkle. This is the beautiful turquoise, or the Kingfisher from Creating Blue, which again is absolutely beautiful. And if this works, what I'm probably going to try and do is do it with a standard cure or a deep cure resin, just to see if we get a different effect, if it works. And at this point, I really don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So there's that metallic pearlescent white. And then finally, the metallic blue, which is stuck to something on my surface. And I don't even know what that is. Looks like a bit of semi-cured resin. I try and keep the surface clean, but every now and then, something just creeps in. So this is that metallic blue. And again, just mix it around, making sure that you've got everything mixed. Now I think I'm going to start off with some white. And then I'm just going to pour these a little bit into this pot. And then I'm going to pour the whole thing in, and then whatever will be, will be. So I've got the white. I want to pour quite a bit in. Probably about half, I think. There we go. Next, I'm going to go in, I think, with the blueberry sparkle glitter. And again, I'm just going to pour about half of that mixture in. Then I'm going to go in with the kingfisher, or the turquoise. And again, it's the first time I've tried this technique. I've seen a few paint pourers use it though, and get some amazing effects. I'm probably doing it all wrong, and you'll all correct me if I am. And then next, the dark blue. And I don't usually use these little pots either, because I don't actually like them. I think the espresso pots I normally use are a bit sturdier than these. So again, about half of that. Then we're going to go back in with the white again. So all of this can now go in. Come on. And as you can see, I'm just sort of layering these colours before I pour. And I'm hoping it will give us an interesting effect in the end coaster. And I have got something sticky on my glove, which is really annoying me at the minute. So in with the rest of the glitter. Not a lot of that left, actually. So there we go. Then it was the kingfisher. And I'm definitely going to be cleaning up my workspace tomorrow. I've been doing some pretty big projects, pretty big pours. And because of that, unfortunately, my workspace always suffers a little bit. And then the last of the dark. In it goes. And as you can see, they seem pretty well mixed. Now the test will be, when we start to pour, what's going to happen? We're going to find out. Here goes. Wish me luck. All the way around the edge. And then we can bring it back in. And then from in, look at this. Loving that colour. And then just filling it all the way up to the top. I think we're going to get a bit more of the pearlescent white now. And actually, I think that is about right. So here we go. This is the end layer of this, I suppose, bit of a joke of a coaster. I'm going to put the curing lid back on and we'll come back in 2 hours. I am going to have to sand a bit off. I can see that already, just where the edges came out, or cut it off. But I'm going to cure this up and I'll see you in 2 hours for demold. So here we go, guys, and it's time to demold. So this is going to be probably one of the most interesting demolds I've ever done. So what I didn't do is come back to get rid of surface bubbles on the center. As you can see, this is what happens. They build up a bit. Now you can get rid of those by sanding them off and top coating it, but I want to see what the front looks like first. But I do like the blues, the way they've all mixed together. So let's see what we've got in this OnlyFans Bonnie Blue coaster. Oh, okay. So it has worked, but look at all those bubbles on the material. So if I was to do this again, I'd need to figure out how to get rid of those bubbles. Still an interesting experiment. interesting coaster. You know, imagine coming around for a cup of coffee and somebody pulls this coaster out. But yeah, definitely too many bubbles in that. So if I was going to try lace or anything like that again, I would have to think of a way to prevent those bubbles. Underneath, there's quite a nice crackle effect as well. So there we have it. Not my most successful experiment. Bit of fun. I don't like the way that all the pearls turn this way around either. You could probably fix that by filling it in with some different coloured resin. But all in all, not my best project, but just a bit of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.